Okay, welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and get my screen set up. Just it's not the view I wanted. Oh, see if I can share my screen. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, now I'm just trying to figure out the best place for me. All right. So, welcome everyone to Be Weird Make Money presents Coffin Cashflow, a hunter's guide to multiple streams of income. All right. So, my name is Kimberly Stewart, and I'm your host tonight. I am a small business idea consultant. Basically, I'm a creative income catalyst. I help people create ways to monetize their creativity or just creative ways to bring in income. And normally, I deal with what I consider small businesses or, like often very small operations. And typically, I consider haunted attractions to be kind of outside my wheelhouse. Like if people come to me and say, I want to start a haunted attraction, I will usually refer them out and say, there's better um, suited people to help you with that. Because if you are involved with a haunt, you know how many moving pieces there are. There's, lots happening. There's, you know, big numbers, lots of people to take care of, everything like that. However, what I do know is small business, and I know multiple streams of income. And I know that I can help haunted attractions bring in more money than you are already. And so that's why I'm really glad you're here tonight. Okay. So, let me see if I can make this all work. All right. So if you want to follow along, you can scan that QR code, or I will put in the chat a link to the Google Docs of worksheets that can go along with this, because the worksheets have a little bit more information than what's on the slides, but it is material that I will be going over. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to do that. All right, so I have been doing this sort of work for a long time. I'm going to just go back to my title screen. So I've been doing this kind of work since 2003, specifically working on Halloween-based businesses since 2013. And I have seen some really amazing things happen between now and then. In fact, when I first spoke at HauntCon back in 2014, um, I had originally titled it Seven Paths to Profits in a $7 billion industry. Well, in just that 10 years, the numbers have almost doubled. And I'm going to get to this in a few minutes, of just how big the Halloween industry is. And it's a really exciting time to be part of this industry because it is growing by leaps and bounds. I also wrote a book about Halloween-based businesses that you can find on Amazon. Kimberly Stewart, Be Weird, Make Money, Halloween. And in that I talk a lot about similar ideas to what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So if you wanted to go over and get that book, that might be a handy companion to get as well. All right, so when it comes down to it, with haunted attractions, ticket sales are king. Right. Like that is your primary source of income when it comes, it's like getting butts through the doors and, hopefully people will come back. They'll bring their friends because they'll tell them how scary it was and how much fun they had and, just keep coming back. But if you're only relying on ticket sales, you're going to get trapped. You're going to get stuck at a certain level because, like as good as you are, you can only get so many people through the door in one night. And so this is where we start to bring in the idea of multiple streams of income. So it's kind of like, you have your primary river, and, but then we're going to have all these little streams and tributaries to make it much, much more powerful. And you may have thought of, like making t-shirts. You probably have given all your staff, or if you're a staff member, you probably have a t-shirt with the name on it. But, I don't know how often you've thought about selling them at your attraction or online. Maybe you sell bottled water or cans of soda or whatever. But, just, but wait, there's more. And, we're going to be going over lots and lots of ideas tonight. And when I really start getting into it, I'm going to really get on a roll, and I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm from New Jersey, born and bred. I talk really fast already. And when I get excited about things, I talk even faster. So, if I start getting too fast, let me know, throw things at the screen and, just let me know, like, hey ladies, slow down. But I kind of can't help myself. So, buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. So, like I was saying, ticket sales are a major thing, and maybe you thought about doing, a little bit of merch or food sales, but have you thought about these things? So, like I said, Halloween is big business, right? In 2023, which is obviously the most recent data we have, $12 billion in sales. Okay, and this is just retail. This isn't even haunted attractions. This includes costumes, candy, decorations, and greeting cards. And if you look down at the bottom of the screen, it might be a little hard to read because the type is small, but in 2023, $4 billion was spent just on costumes. Now that's costumes for both people and pets, and I'm going to talk about pet costumes too towards the end. But and they don't have it on this screen, but the pet costume segment of that number is $700 million just on pet costumes. Okay, so let that sink in for a second. And then $3.6 billion was spent on candy. And much to the dentist's delight, almost $4 billion, $3.9 billion spent on decorations. And this one just always shocks me. $500 million just on greeting cards. Now, I don't have it on one of my slides, but that is definitely something you might consider carrying at your haunt. Like if you have a little gift shop or whatever, is some greeting cards. Because if people are buying them, you should supply them. They're small, they don't take up a lot of room, et cetera, et cetera. And, in the other parts of this slide here, talking about, the percentage of people who are planning to participate. Now, this was done like in September, October of 2023. But they were asking people, like, what are you planning to do? And it was like 70% of people, 73% of people were planning on celebrating. And that is awesome. That number has ticked up and, over the years. And so it's just really exciting. Like I said, this is a really exciting time to be part of the Halloween industry. All right. So, and then what are the numbers for the haunted attraction industry? So I finally found out through HauntPay, which is a fabulous service. If you're looking for a ticketing service, go to HauntPay. They can take care of a lot of needs, including adding in different income streams. So if you want to start selling merchandise, or you want to start selling concessions, they can help you integrate that with your regular ticket sales. But they did a study on the haunted attraction industry, and it turns out that $1 billion just from the haunted attraction industry is, part of this overall. That's in addition to what the National Retail Federation was saying on that last slide of the $12 billion. So it's a $13 billion industry total if we include haunted attractions, which is really exciting. So let's make even more. Let's all like rise up together, have more fun, make some more money, make some more people happy, scare the crap out of them. Yeah, that's what we're all about here. All right. So when I'm teaching about business, I like to teach that there are 7 basic business models that any way to make money, it's going to fall into one of these categories. Okay. It's going to be either products, which are physical things that you make, manufacture, have manufactured, or resell. Services, which is a lot of these are going to be self-explanatory, but services are basically when you're doing something for someone that they can't do themselves, and they have, they may not have the time or the skill, but they have the money to pay for it, and you can step in and help. Information, and that's basically writing a book, teaching a class, having an online course, some way that you're teaching people how to do what you know how to do best. Mail order, which is, essentially it's kind of an old-timey term these days, but it's basically selling things from a distance online or or if you want to go really old school, you could do like a paper catalog, which would be really fun. Anyway, landlord. Now don't get scared. I'm not talking about traditional real estate strictly, although it can be. Basically, when I say landlord, it's I think the sharing economy. It's basically making money on your stuff that would otherwise just be sitting there collecting dust. And we're going to talk about different ways that that might look. But so your stuff can support you instead of you just supporting your stuff. All right. The next step is bricks and mortar. And so that's a physical location from which you sell your products or services. And lastly, entertainment and performance, which is, just as it sounds like, singing for your supper in any number of creative ways. Now, haunted attractions typically fall under, both the bricks and mortar and the entertainment and performance categories. And that's cool. And so what we're going to talk about is how can you add in products? How can you add in services, information, mail order? How can you add in landlording to this situation to make it even better? Okay. Now, a few years ago, I did a whole summit about time and location independent models. And these are what people typically think of as like more or less like passive income or, low barriers to entry, that sort of thing. And all of these fit into the other 7 categories, but I just want to name them just because if they're unfamiliar to you, I want to, just familiarize you with them. So first is drop shipping. And drop shipping is where you basically become a middleman between a manufacturer of physical products and a customer. And you do all the advertising and stuff on behalf of the manufacturer. And then a customer puts a sale in through your site, and then you put the order into the manufacturer, and you get a cut of the profit, and the manufacturer from that point on takes care of the sale, the shipping, all that stuff. So drop shipping is great because you never have to like house the products. You never have to have like a garage or a warehouse full of product that you may or may not ever sell. The manufacturer takes care of all that, and you just introduce the customer to them and make a cut of the profit. Next up is membership or subscription. And so that's basically something on a monthly or an annual basis, or some sort of regularly occurring thing. With a membership, it's usually going to be more information or community, and a subscription service is going to be more like physical products, like a box of the month, socks of the month, whatever. Next up is course creation. And so that one's pretty self-explanatory. And so course creation in this context is almost strictly like evergreen recorded courses that you could have available online on an online course platform available at all times, as opposed to if you were doing like in-person workshops or, even online workshops like this one, where people are coming in and able to ask questions live, et cetera, et cetera. Course creation in this context is, pre-recorded courses that people can purchase at any time. But that's great because then you don't have to, you can record it once, and then, and this will eventually be a product, this workshop, for people to, to watch. And maybe that's how you're watching it now. All right, next up is reselling. And so again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's where you are reselling other people's products. Voiceover, and pretty self-explanatory, but for Halloween and haunted attractions, you could be doing ads, you could be doing YouTube videos, you could be doing radio spots, all kinds of interesting things. Next up is YouTube. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but the way people monetize YouTube is through ads, sponsors, where you sell, like you have links to your courses, you have affiliate links, which is coming up in a few steps, where you have links where you'll make commissions on products, et cetera, et cetera. Next up is a refinement of the landlording situation. And so I have Fat Llama and Dapper Cadaver. So Fat Llama is just, first of all, the funnest thing to say ever. And anyway, but they're a service that brokers rentals, product rentals. So I think they primarily service like electronics and photography equipment and stuff like that. So say you are, you've got some photography equipment, really expensive cameras, lenses, tripods, lighting, whatever, but you're not using it all the time. And there's people who are just starting out with photography who may not have the money to, purchase all the equipment right off the bat, but maybe they have a wedding that they're going to shoot, like their best friend's wedding, so they can get some experience, get some money, and they just need the equipment for the weekend. So, you could put your stuff up on Fat Llama, they would find it. Fat Llama provides insurance in case they break anything or wander off with it. So it's you're covered and it's safe. It's safer than just brokering it between you and the person just alone. And so Dapper Cadaver, if you haven't heard of them, are a very cool company. I just met them recently at the Trans World East in Philadelphia. And the guy was so friendly, so nice. And I'd heard about him years ago, and I've been promoting him for years. And I said, hey, it's so nice to finally meet you in person. I've been telling people about your business for years and to go check you out. And so among the things that they do is they rent products. And when they were based in LA, they used to rent them out to movie studios. Now they're based in Wisconsin, and I think they still ship to rent things. They're just not right in LA. And so if you, and I'll get to this when I'm going through the thing, but why I have it on here is if you have old props, like maybe you have retired props that you want to rent out to home haunters or maybe new haunts, or just if you switched themes, maybe you used to do creepy clowns and now you're doing creepy asylum, but you don't need clown stuff anymore or circus stuff, you could rent that old stuff out rather than just anything that you can't repurpose or reuse. You could rent that out rather than just chucking it, which I hope you're not doing anyway. So next up on the list is affiliates. And so that is essentially where you share the word about different products and services with an affiliate link or a referral link or something like that. They're called different names depending on the site. But basically, if you say, hey, I use these products and, I really like them, here's a link, it's not going to cost you've probably seen this, it's not going to cost the customer anymore. But when they purchase through your link, you get a small commission. Amazon is, famous for kind of getting this started, and people have opinions about Amazon and they're valid, if people see Amazon in a negative light, but it's a good example in this case where if you say, hey, here's the makeups I use, or here's the tools I use, here's my Amazon link, go purchase, then Amazon will send you a link, they'll send you a commission if people purchase from your link. Fun fact, on Amazon in particular, if people click on your link and they're purchasing the stuff that you told them to, but while they're on Amazon, they're like, oh, I needed this and that, the other thing. And all of a sudden, their $50 order for the product you sent them for, all of a sudden becomes like a $200 order, which am I the only person that happens to? You go to Amazon for one thing, you end up getting a ton. Anyway, Amazon will give you a commission on the entire sale, not just the product that you sent people to. So, it might add up. Of course, there's tons and tons of different affiliate programs, not just Amazon. They're just a nice, convenient example. And last on this list is print on demand. And so that's basically where you create this cool design. In this context, it's probably going to be your font logo. and a picture and that sort of thing. But you could expand into like all kinds of like Halloween or horror themed, slogans or pictures or whatever, and have them all available. But basically, that's where you create a design, and it can go on any number of products. It can go on t-shirts, it can go on hats, it can go on beanies, it can go on stickers, bags, keychains. The list goes on. But the cool thing is, you don't have to decide ahead of time how many you want if you have it available on your website. Now, if you want to sell them at your site, you are going to need to make some decisions. And I'll talk about that when I get to the list. But anyway, I just wanted to show you guys, shameless plug. So my business is called Be Weird, Make Money. A few weeks ago, I got my Be Weird. Oh, you're not going to be able to see it because of the my filter. But anyway, it's the logo on a bag, and a shoulder bag, and it's really, really cool. It was so easy to do. I just literally uploaded the logo to Printify, which is a site that does print on demand, and they're pretty easy to work with, pretty user friendly. And you just load up your logo, and you say for Printify you want it on this product. But I know there are some print on demand sites where you just upload the picture, and the customer can say, "Ooh, what would that look like on a mug? What would that look like on a t-shirt? What would that look like on a sweatshirt?" Et cetera, et cetera. So you don't even have to decide necessarily what products it will go on. All right. So those are the time and location independent models. Next up, so I just want to encourage you to play mix and match. So you look at the different business models and you say, okay, what do I feel most drawn to? What do I think I might be able to do? Is it easiest to add on some products right now? Is it easiest to maybe add on some services? Maybe add some information products in there. Maybe add some products to a website to sell via mail order. So think about that. And I want you to have multiple streams of income, but I also want you to think of a plate spinner. So I don't know if you've ever been like if you've been walking down a street and you see a cool street performer doing, plate spinning, and, they might have like, 10 plates spinning, one on their head, one on each hand, one on each knee, one on each foot, whatever. But here's the thing. They don't start all 10 plates at once. They get the one on their foot going, because that's like the easiest one. And then they get the one on the second foot. And then, then they get the one on their left knee, and then they get on their right knee. And so don't try and start all of these ideas at once. Maybe pick one or two ideas for this coming season to integrate and see what happens. Or, just like get one up and going, like master your print on demand designs and, get that up and running, and then figure out like, okay, what classes might I teach, or what contests might we have? Because a recipe for failure is trying to take on too much at once. And, I can't be the only one that happens to, where you think, oh, I can do this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I have all this energy. And then you just splat because you can't keep up with all the like new stuff on top of what you're already doing. So I want you to experiment. I want you to have fun. I want you to play. I want you to play mix and match. But I also want you to just try, a few things at a time. Because I don't want you to come back to me and be like, oh man, I tried all these, things and none of them worked. And, I just don't want you to get frustrated. Okay. So, I asked this when I taught this at HauntCon and Fear Expo earlier this year. I was like, what kind of haunts do we have in the room? And I'm asking that not only because I'm curious, and a little bit nosy, but also as I'm going along, I just want to know if there are, examples I can come up with specifically for you guys, then I can do that. Okay. So looking at the chat, all right, it looks like we have an outdoor walkthrough with a corn maze and okay, awesome. An indoor thing. There's one that has like a train theme. There's like Oh, a hospital, that like had a zombie takeover. Okay, great, great. These are awesome. These are awesome. Okay. So as I'm going along, if I think of anything specifically for you guys, I will go ahead and add that in. Um, One of my favorite haunts, I lived in Colorado for almost 20 years, and I got to know a lot of people in the haunt community out there, and I miss them dearly as I'm here in New Jersey. And one of my favorites, though, was Terror in the Corn. And so, shout out, you guys. You're awesome. And what I loved about them is that they seamlessly integrated so many of these things that I'm going to be talking about. They were such a great example that I actually kind of based this presentation on what I saw them doing. And, and I expanded a little bit, but they already were doing so many of these things so well. I was like, you guys are awesome. And so I just wanted to, give a shout out to them. But, and their thing is like old timey, like using Colorado mining history and stuff like that. And they have a corn maze, and then they have a walkthrough. They have a fantastic gift shop where they're selling clothes and food and all kinds of stuff, as well as they have a pumpkin patch, and they have, pumpkin carving things and make and takes off season. So anyway, a lot of things I'm going to be talking about. All right. So for in-season ideas, let me see if I can get this out of the way a little bit. For in-season ideas, like I said, you might be thinking food and beverage, and so that's in-house. And so there's a couple of options. So that's where you go to Costco, and you buy cases of soda and water, and you're just kind of reselling that, or and little bags of chips and pretzels and cookies and whatever. Now you could also elevate that and sell some easy hot foods like hot pretzels or popcorn or hot dogs or whatever that people are probably going to yak up in your when you gross them out and be like, hey, free special effects, yay. Anyway, but so you could do that. But my cover my butt thing here is you want to check to see what kind of extra licensure or scrutiny or like health inspectors or anything like that. Find out what you need to know when it comes to food and beverage preparation on site. If it gets to be too much and you're not sure if you want to take that on, next up on the list is food trucks. Now, one of my friends from the haunt community who opened up a microbrewery, which he has since retired from, but he opened up a microbrewery in Colorado, and he was the one who kind of tipped me off that if you are preparing food in your place of business, it opens you up to a whole other level of headaches and hassles. And a way for him to get, so he gave away free popcorn. So he had like a popcorn maker, and people could just go get a bag of popcorn while they enjoyed their beers inside the restaurant, or inside the brewery. But outside, he brought in food trucks. And so that's great because, that lets that small business owner make some more money. Your customers are happy because they have stuff to eat, while they're there. And, and you are happy because you don't have to have all the hassles of, preparing food and cleaning up and all that good stuff. Next level is you could do private label or co-packing branded food and beverage. And so that's where your name would be on the labels of things like packaged coffees, cocos, popcorn, chips, candy, mulling spices, drinks. I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like on the next slide. But how cool would that be for people to be? So on this list, I was thinking like fall foods, what people might be into, easy to eat, easy to consume, easy to store, that sort of thing. But it would have your name on it. Maybe you could even come up with some really clever names for the things. So like, and again, when I was at Transworld East, there was this one guy, and he had this whole wall of like horror and Halloween themed coffees that were just delightful. I don't even like coffee, and I wanted to buy a whole bunch of them because they just smelled delightful. Anyway, but they had these really cool, fun labels, cool cartoon, like horror stuff. Anyway, next up on this list, merchandise. And so like I was just talking about, t-shirts, hoodies, baseball caps, beanies. And you could do the print on demand ahead of time, so you have some stock And I would go with maybe gender neutral things and inexpensive things just to start if you're not sure if people are going to want them. So have like beanies and stickers and keychains and mugs. And so you don't have to worry about like, oh, what sizes of t-shirts should I have? Or, should I get unisex t-shirts or, little like girly t-shirts or whatever. Or, things that might not sell, right? So it's like we don't want you to waste money, and maybe even have like a sign up sheet, and say, hey, would you want one of these? And we'll ship it to you. You could, like I said on the slide here, you could get fancy with an on-site sublimation printer, right? And so that's kind of a cool thing because you can print on the spot. Like, so at the Jersey Shore, they have, at the boardwalk, they have these t-shirt shops that have examples, of all the different designs that you can get on a t-shirt. And usually they're super classless, super tacky, whatever. But people can walk in to the t-shirt shop and say, okay, I want this design on, a white extra extra large t-shirt, and then somebody else could come in and say, I want the same design, but I want it on a black small hoodie, right? And so, and what they do is literally, so so they have these designs and they have the shirts and stuff right there, and they just put it in a press and like 10 minutes later the person has their shirt. And so that would require you to have some stock of t-shirts and stuff like that, blanks on site, but you could do it right there. All right, so this is an example of the co-packing thing. So this is a site called the Drink Ink, and when you look at the website, it says it looks like Drink Ink, and I saw that and I was like, what kind of site is this? Anyway, but the reason I wanted to show you guys this is two reasons. One, this company in particular, of all the co-packers that I saw, seemed to understand that people might not want to order a million of these, right? So they, they're like, who we help. And it was like family reunions, corporate parties, whatever. And so you could probably get a small batch of these. And so, on here, they have Spirit. So I guess at some point Spirit did these little energy drinks. And so, I mean, that's another thing you can do is energy drinks. How spazzed out do you want people in your haunt though? Consider that. Anyway, but I just thought that was a great example. All right, next up, you could do contests. You could have pumpkin carving contests, costume contests, pet costume contests, photography contests of like either, photography of your haunt, of cool pictures that people got, user generated content, or just like fall, autumn, Halloween photography in general. However you'd want to do that. And, you could charge a few bucks to enter and, have some sort of prize, probably, tickets, free tickets to your haunt, free VIP tickets, free upgrade, something to get people to come back to your haunt, maybe a little swag bag of all the merchandise that you've created. Anyhow, so that's a way to, get some people in there, make a little extra money. Have vendors, anything to get people to stick around a little bit longer. So you could have face painters, fortune tellers, stuff like people like that, just there to keep entertaining people and keep them happy while they're there. You could do a scavenger hunt, and that's either around your site or around town, kind of to build up the anticipation of getting there, and then once they solve it, what do they win? Again, just like little things, free and most people are going to be really happy if they get a free ticket, and so again, just keep people coming through the door. You could have a photo booth, photo opportunities, with, again, maybe get your logo on the corner of each printed sheet, so people would know where they were, or have like a little frame, in the back of where the people are. Okay. You could do candid shots at jump scares, kind of like on roller coasters at amusement parks, where people are like, ah! Yeah. And what's that place up in I think it's in Niagara Falls called Nightmares. And they often have these really funny videos. Clearly they're staged. It looks like these people are like, what? But they're in the event, and they have these candid shots at jump scares, so people are obviously, it's like, oh. And it's at the end, you could have their pictures displayed like they do at Disney World, or whatever. And, it's be like, oh, here you are crapping your pants. Would you like a commemorative picture? And, a lot of times people are really amused or their friends are really amused at how silly their friends look. And so they'll purchase them. You could rent out your space for local make and takes. Like I said, Terror in the Corn had done that. Like we had, what did we do? It wasn't necessarily a make and take. It was a meet and greet and like a buy and sell. So people, brought in things that they were willing to sell and, trade and whatever. And at the same time, we had big potluck and, we got to meet people that we normally wouldn't get to meet from different haunts and everything like that. It was very cool. You could rent out your equipment to local haunters. Maybe kind of keep that on site. Check with your insurance to see, what kind of requirements you'd need, or that's something you do maybe through Fat Llama. Again, think of safety features and everything like that. But, again, if people need big pieces of, equipment, they might not invest in it for themselves, but they'd be more than happy to just pay for the opportunity to use yours. Or you could hire yourself out, say, hey, we have a circular saw, we have a hot wire foam cutter, blah, 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 whatever. You can pay us and we'll help you take care of that. You could rent out retired props like Dapper Cadaver. You could rent out your space or part of it for weddings, parties, fundraisers, that sort of thing. So where these people are going to have a budget already, but they don't have the skill to set up, a cool venue like you would, and maybe let them use it when you're not using it. Clearly, obviously. But it'll already be decorated, and that's a way that you can make some of your money back and introduce people to your haunt who might not normally go. But they would see it and be like, oh, I gotta see what this place is like in action now that we've had this party here, or now that I had the coolest wedding on the planet here at this haunted attraction. Now we're gonna bring all my friends back. You could host local home haunter buy and sell events. And whether or not you're actually charging money, like maybe like any flea market, like $5 a table or something like that, that could be it. Or you could just foster goodwill, have a big event like Terror in the Corn did with, having everyone bring, some potluck food and just having a good time. You could, and I haven't seen this done, but when I was in HauntCon in Daytona earlier this year, there was a guy who said he wanted to do this. Decorate people's yard haunts, like those guys do it with Christmas lights. I'm sure you've seen, different services come in and do, either office buildings or home residences, and they really decorate them like crazy for Christmas. Why isn't anyone doing that for Halloween? And so so if somebody does that, please let me know, get pictures, let me know how it went, everything like that, because I think that would be fantastic. In fact, I was telling the guy, I said, you could do it, and then you could start teaching other people how to do it. That could be your business in a box. That could be your online course. You could teach people how to do it. You could arrange for people to purchase materials through you, because you could maybe make a bulk order and resell. Or sell them through affiliate links and just make commissions. How cool would that be? All right, so these are some off-season ideas, because I realize like one thing that you guys are probably not going to have is extra time, a whole lot of extra time in season to be doing things. All right, so here is where you could do some classes. You could do classes on site, online, or locally. That could be decorating. That could be, costume making. That could be makeup. That could be acting classes. That could be, how to use the power tools, et cetera, et cetera. Just what are the things that people ask you about? How do you do that? How did you learn how to do that? How do you do that so fast? Whatever. Those are really good questions to pay attention to when you're thinking about wow, how could I make some extra money? You know, whatever people are asking you about your expertise, be willing to teach it, right? And so that's definitely a way. And so, like I said, those could be on site, that could be online, that could be, you know, evergreen. You know, you do the class once. You can even record your on-site live class and sell that. You don't have to do a whole extra thing, and which you may have to do, you know, if you are doing a demonstration. Because people are going to need to see it, whether it's in your studio or on your site, whatever. You know, again, merchandise, print on demand, make it available on your website so that people can get it any time of year. You could have a podcast or a YouTube channel where you're talking about your haunt, you're talking about Halloween, you're talking about horror, whatever, you know, whatever ties into your haunted attraction. You know, just get out there and start building your audience. Now, obviously, your primary audience is going to be local to you. And, you know, having a podcast or a YouTube channel or Discord or Twitch or whatever, is going to open you up to a worldwide audience, but that's okay. You know, it's okay to make your presence known. And, you know, like I saw somebody talking at Fear Expo, and he was talking about how he has, you know, worldwide fans, you know, and he, you know, talked to somebody from Australia who wanted t-shirts of his or something like that. And so it's just, you never know. And it's always good to have an audience there who's supporting you. You could start a Patreon. And then with that, you could give your fans, you know, sneak peeks of what's coming this year. It's like, oh my God, you guys, you're going to hear it first here. You know, we have some really cool things coming up this season. You're not going to believe it. And you guys are going to see it first, you know, or maybe give them a say, you know, give your audience like a vote. Say, hey, should we do, you know, this or this? And, you know, when people feel invested and involved, they're definitely more willing to come and spend more money, spend more time, bring their friends, everything like that. You could have a blog, you know, just basically talking about haunt life, haunter life, actor life, horror life, whatever, you know. And again, that's where you can start selling some ad space, selling some, you know, hooking people up with affiliate links, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe get some sponsors, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But anyway, just sharing information and getting people involved. Affiliate links, what I keep talking about, you know, so, you know, different products or even services. You know, the cool thing about if you recommend services to people, oftentimes there's going to be ongoing commissions coming in. So, like for insurance, for example, not every insurance company does this, but if you recommend a particular insurance company, not only will you get a commission when people go and like fill out the information, if they sign up, you might get residual checks coming in, you know, as long as that person has that insurance. I know that like just on straight up business, services like email, you know, so like what I use, Aweber, you know, if I tell people go use Aweber as your email service, you know, to see, keep in touch with your customers, and people use my link, then I will get, you know, I could eventually get my Aweber for free because I could get so many, you know, affiliates, which is kind of cool. And as long as they stay a member of Aweber, I would continue to make affiliate sales or, you know, affiliate money. All right, so when I originally created this, it was around Christmas time, and so I have a couple of Christmas related things. Anyway, so off-season ideas. Be like Scrooge. You're like, huh? Are we talking about Halloween here? But think about keeping the spirit of Halloween the whole year through. And I'm so thrilled to see how this is coming out to play. So Krampus. So obviously, like right after Halloween, what's next? Think here in the States, it's Thanksgiving. But you know, next up is Christmas. But Krampus is kind of squeezed between Thanksgiving and Christmas right at that first weekend of December. People can, you know, stretch it out whole month, which is great. But here's what's cool. not only can you, make revenue in a month when you normally wouldn't be, but people at the end of the year are in a gift buying mood, right? Make it possible for them to purchase through you. You could sell gift certificates for tickets for next season. You could be selling your merchandise. You could be selling little gift baskets of cool things. Like say, oh, here's a bag of our cool coffee and a mug to go with it, and wrapped up in there is a T-shirt. Here you go. $35, one-stop shopping, $45, whatever. You do anti-Valentine's Day or second Halloween, or what I saw this year, Halloween. And, there was some really cool stuff happening with that. Like I started to see like the little old school Valentines, that you would hand out in elementary school, but it was like creepy clown. It was this creepy clown who was like, want to see what I've got in my basement? And I was like, that got dark quick. Anyway, capitalize on that. Have, date nights, have, like a discount on your tickets. So, playing on ticket sales, but then maybe have like, I don't know, creepy roses, creepy candy, for people to purchase. They're there. So again, beyond ticket sales, what could you be doing? You could open up for spring break, but call it scream break. If you feel really edgy, you could do at Easter time, you could do zombie Jesus. Or as somebody pointed out, we'll get pilloried if we do that, but we could have an aliens themed egg hunt. And I thought, oh my God, how fun would that be? Because you don't know. That's your trick or treat. You don't know if when you open up the plastic egg, if there's going to be bugs in there or candy, or maybe, or whatever, just like scary stuff or candy. And you could even, if you really feel like getting very creative, you could, take all winter to get the plastic eggs, but then like use hot glue or the grate foam or whatever, and like really decorate them to make them look like scary alien eggs. You could do halfway to Halloween. We just passed halfway to Halloween. A lot of places open back up. You could do a bloody or a zombie prom, here in May. You could do Summerween. At this time of recording, it's May. You could do Summerween, a summer camp, or anytime there's a Friday the 13th, open back up. You could have that, but you could change your theme or add on or capitalize on Summerween, summer camp, whatever. If you already have like your walkthrough outdoor thing, you could turn that into like a scary LARP, right? Definitely tack on, like the summer camp aspect, scary summer camp. One thing you can do, and I totally recommend this, is get out and vend at your local events. So, some national things that go around is the Oddities and Curiosities Expo. There's lots of different variations on the theme. Paracon, punk rock flea markets. There was something called the Goblin Market, local to me. You go to different conventions. When I lived in Colorado, my boyfriend pointed out, he's like, do they not have anything better to do? Because there was things in my town. There was the Peach Festival. There was an Oatmeal Festival. But anything where people in your town are going to be congregating, whether it's like spooky themed or not, right? So you could go to the Oddities and Curiosities Festival. You could show up at, a Halloween convention like Trans World East had a whole bunch of local haunts present and everything like that. Or, you could go to your local Oatmeal Festival or the Peach Festival or just whatever sidewalk show, like Memorial Day is coming up, like get a table and get out there, get in your community, get involved. Because I know there are a lot of you who have experienced, blowback from people in your community who aren't supportive of what we're doing here with our Halloween businesses. And it's so easy to get reactive, and I'm just going to encourage you not to. That's on a future slide. But just if you can get out there and get seen in your community as somebody who's cool, it's like, hey, we like scaring people, but we're not scary people. But it just gets your name out there. So do that as much as you can. Get involved in your community. Here's a few social media ideas. I actually did a whole class about haunted attraction social media, and that'll come in another time. I'll let you guys know. But a few ideas is, you can invite customers to submit my favorite Halloween memory. You could start, like, here's some of my favorite Halloween memories, just release like once a week or whatever, and ask your audience, what's your favorite Halloween memory? Or what's your favorite memory from our haunt? What was your favorite moment? When do you remember first peeing your pants at our place? Or whatever. So again, getting people involved. Again, coming back to Summerween, I just wonder, what is the scary people doing in the summer? Like, maybe you have the scary clown with a margarita with, an umbrella in it in a pool, just sitting in a raft, just sitting here waiting for Halloween. Whatever. Inject some humor in there. And again, it stops people. It stops the scroll when you see something unexpected, and especially something funny. Anyway, so we get out there and so with summer coming up, what funny things could you do? Or something I've seen is with the skeletons, like either the 12-foot skeletons or the regular size skeletons, where there's like an arm on the ground holding the remnants of a firework, or in the pool, or with little swimmies on or something like that. It's just really have fun with it. You could do glamour shots for your characters. I didn't get her permission, but I have a friend who works at Penhurst Asylum, and she recently released some photos that a magazine had done on Penhurst Asylum, and she's one of the scary clowns. And they're some of the most gorgeous photos I've ever seen. They're like on set with the best lighting and everything like that. And they have her looking so cool. And so, again, like, how can you really showcase your characters, your sets, really make it look very, very cool and compelling that people can't stay away. You could rent out your characters or your talent for other people's events. Like in your town, are they doing a zombie crawl, or are they doing, some sort of event where, they could use a couple of extra trained, zombies or scary clowns or whatever the heck you've got, like they just need something scary. How can you provide your talent to them? And again, make some extra money. Let's see. So again, get involved with your community, and that might be some cross referrals with different local businesses. You could have coupons that you leave with at their business, and then you could give out coupons for other people's businesses. You could be involved in pub crawls, haunt crawls, restaurants, bars, local festivals. You could sponsor a kids activity. Like, how wild would that be? To have like a sports team with your name on it, or sponsor, this would be more in line, I think, like an art club, a drama club, a music club, whatever. Get out there supporting kids and creativity, right? And here I have Don't Kick the Hornet's Nest. That was Michael's from Terror in the Corn. That was his advice. He's like, as tempting as it is to kick back when people you're like, you're going to hell, it's like, that's nice, thank you. Just don't get involved. Now, on the other side of that, sometimes there's no bad publicity. Turn it into something good. One of my favorite people that I talked to at HauntCon earlier this year was telling me after the class, he was like, oh my god, we had this thing happen at our haunt, and it made the news, and it wasn't necessarily flattering. He's like, but the next weekend we tripled our business. So see if you can turn it around. Like, if you have something newsworthy happen that may not be flattering, see what you can do to turn it around. I'm listening to a fabulous book right now called There's a Customer Born Every Minute, and it's basically about how P.T. Barnum ran his businesses and like got publicity and all this mischief marketing and stuff like that. And it's some really good lessons about how to really capitalize on curiosity and turning things around and everything like that. So if something happens that's maybe not positive, maybe it's a little negative, see what we can do to turn it around and make the best of it. Next up, So I talked about doing glamour shots for your talent. What if you did glamour shots for your customers in your sets? Now, I wanted so bad to have like those cheesy glamour shots from the 80s, like with the rose and you had the whole, soft focus with the, your chin in the palm, whatever. I couldn't find one that was good enough to share. Anyway, but I'm not talking quite that. But it's also kind of like the old timey Western things, like they have that at malls and boardwalks and, tourist attractions and stuff like that, where they have a set of like, say, an old timey saloon and they make it look like an old West sepia photograph or whatever. And they give you, like half costumes and stuff like that and some props. And then they take your picture and you take that on your way. Well, what if you did that for your customers, but instead you brought in your makeup artist, you brought in some like either retired costumes or costumes you know, you don't care if you cut them up so you can easily get them on everyone. And a photographer, and you have people like be scary. I think people would pay through the nose for that kind of experience. And, so all you'd have to do is provide it for them. All right. So now that we've talked about, different ideas that you could do in season, you could do out of season, again, all these things are swirling. What you always want to come back to with any business, if you're trying, as you're growing, right, is who wants what you have. Okay. Now, you've probably heard a lot about like your ideal clients or customers or your avatar or whatever. And that's going to, and so for haunted attractions, that's primarily going to be, people between the ages of like 20 and 40. It's probably going to skew more male than female. And that sort of, so, you're going to get your demographics and your psychographics and stuff like that of like who your typical client is. But I want to get you thinking beyond that. I want you to think of referrers, so advertisers, sponsors, partners and collaborators, affiliates. And so basically, so referrers. So going back to, networking with your local businesses. So that's where, different businesses, bars, pubs, restaurants, or whatever. People are looking for fun stuff to do. Have their staff tell them, oh, you're looking for something fun to do tonight? You should check out the haunt that's, in town. You should go down there and check it out, whatever. And then you can give them, either like a commission or, again, free tickets, coupons, whatever. Advertisers, these are people who want to get in front of your audience and would pay to, have a little banner ad maybe on your website or something like that. Sponsors, this is something really interesting. So sponsors will, get involved with small businesses. You don't have to be huge, and you could be growing. They want to get in front of your audience. So, I think for you guys, food and beverage sponsors, again, like, golly, I'm trying to think of some good examples right off the top of my head. Who you want to go to for this is Linda Hollander, the sponsor concierge, and she can help hook you up. Yeah, it costs money to work with her, but she often does these free events to give you an insight into what sponsors can do for you and how they can really help your business. And, it's like, in terms of numbers for money, you should never be getting less that. So if you're doing in-kind sponsorship, and that's where like the food and beverage companies would be giving you, like food or beverage to, resell or give away or whatever. Then you have monetary sponsorship where people are giving you $10,000 and up per year to run your business. And it could be $10,000, $25,000, $100,000, whatever, to help you ease the squeeze, ease your cash crunches, run your business, and, hawk the business a little, their sponsor, make sure this event was sponsored by, whatever. Partners and collaborators. So partners are people that you work with on a regular basis that you team up with. to run your business or event. And then collaborators are people that you work with occasionally to team up to run like a partial event or whatever. And I'll talk about that. I have a great example to bring a whole bunch of these things into play in a few minutes. But the collaboration is really, really important. Something I didn't talk about yet that I always like to talk about when I'm talking about Halloween businesses in particular is how we are all in this together. And it really makes me sad when I hear about people behaving poorly towards their fellow haunters. Like there's no reason that we have to see each other as competition. Yes, there is competition, but there's no reason that we should be trying to put each other out of business or anything like that. I mean, that's nonsense and it's goofy. And so we're all in, you know, in this to have fun and to grow, to help our communities to have fun and, you know, entertain people. And so in a few minutes, I'm going to talk about another Christmas movie and why it's important. But then next on the list, though, is affiliates. And so that's where you would be paying a commission to people to share the word about you. So if there was some really popular Halloween or horror-based influencer who was all of a sudden, you know, sending people to ticket sales, to merchandise sales, whatever, and, you know, you gave them a link, they would get a commission on those sales. So that's instead of you getting, you know, selling someone else's products, this is where someone's selling your products and services. And it works out just fine. All right. So, you know, and you want to be thinking, who wants to get in front of the same audience? And so you can think complementary or adjacent businesses. And, you know, so here we go with my Christmas things again. Take the Miracle on 34th Street approach. And so if you remember in that movie, you know, you know, Santa gets in trouble because he's like, oh, you know, we don't have that here at Macy's, but they have that across the street at Gimbel's. And the manager at first is freaking out. It's like, you can't send people to other businesses. And then, but the customers come back and they're so excited. They're like, wow, thank you. I'm so happy I got what I needed. I'm going to come back to your store next time I need something. And so anyway, how can you create these great relationships with other haunts or other businesses in your community? And who wants to pay to learn what you know? So like I was saying way back earlier, you know, kind of like, what do people compliment you on? What are people always asking your advice about? That's what you should be teaching because people are already acknowledging that you're the expert in this subject or, you know, that topic. And they would probably be willing to pay you if you offered to teach it to them. So I just want to bring together, you know, a bunch of different aspects to illustrate what I've been talking about here tonight. All right, so here I have let's play so we can slay. All right, so I mentioned early on tonight that the pet costume segment of the overall Halloween industry is $700 million. Blows my mind. And so here's how you could create an event that would you know, bring you in collaboration with a bunch of local businesses. You could turn it into a charity event, which again would bring you goodwill. It would make so many people happy. All right. So picture it. You're at like a farmer's market or perhaps an animal shelter that you've teamed up with to do an event. People bring their dogs. And they first encounter a mobile groomer who's going to do like whatever the version of a mini mani-pedi would be on a dog, you know, like a quick groom, you know, like let's spruce this puppy up, right? Then you bring the dog to the next station where you have pet costumes to choose from. And this could either be to rent or they're purchasing, whatever, you know, however you want to do this. For the scope of this event. So they pick out whatever costume they think looks best with their dog. You bring them to the next station and there's a pet photographer who is going to take super cute pictures with your pet all duded up in their cute costume. Maybe it's on a green screen and they have a creepy background, or maybe it's just like this super cute animal in a costume. You head to the last station where there's a swag bag full of local products. Maybe it's a plastic pumpkin pail full of different products that hawk your haunt, and maybe some of their other some of the other businesses there, or other local businesses. Maybe there's somebody who has organic pet treats, and you have cute doggy bandanas that are Halloween themed, with your haunt logo on them, and maybe some candy for the people, or whatever. So they have this really cool thing that they can take with them along with their picture, and you can have that picture be like right there, that they get on a card. You could have it so that they can have it digitally on their phone, so they can share it immediately on Facebook and Instagram and whatever. But then they've walked away, and you all have made money. The mobile groomer, the people with the pet costumes, the people, the photographer, the people with the swag bag. If you've teamed up to do a charity event that, say an animal shelter, which would be a great tie-in, like they're getting money, they're getting goodwill. People are there and they're like, oh, maybe I should go adopt a pet, or whatever. And so they can have people on site to help people adopt animals while they're there. Anyway, so again, you created this really cool event where you've gotten a whole bunch of people from your local business, small business community involved. You've created a lot of goodwill. You've created a fabulous experience, start to finish, for some people in your community. And and again, if you've turned it into a charity event, you've helped make money for everyone. So, and it gets your name out there. You, in this case, if we're talking about sponsors, you would be the sponsor of this event. Or, oh my God, okay, you could get a pet themed corporate business to be your sponsor. Maybe Petco is your or Purina or whatever is your event sponsor, so that the money comes in to pay all the different practitioners and maybe purchase products, or you get some in-kind products, to put in your little swag bag, right? So anyway, there's all kinds of really fun things that you could be doing. And that's just one example. I'm sure you could come up with lots of others, because one thing I know about haunters is you guys are freaking creative. And so for this entire talk, we've talked about a lot of different ideas. And so some of them resonated. I'm sure some of them you're like, I'm not really sure. I'm not really convinced, whatever. And that's fine. Like I said, be a plate spinner. Do what feels right. Spend some time getting the ideas up and running one at a time. I want you to do all of them, but I want you to do one at a time. Right. And some are going to work and some aren't. And that's okay too. And that's why I want to encourage you to, whatever you do, start small. Think big, but start small, and just see what takes off. Test some things. Like I was mentioning, you could get a sublimation printer. Sublimation printers for like an average one, would be maybe $500 to $1,000 to have on site. And before you do that, see if anybody wants your merch for print on demand, and then see if it would be worth it to have something on site. And if not, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense, and that's all right too. So anyhow, I hope you all had a great time tonight, and I want to open it up for questions, but go ahead and put them in. And I'll see if I can answer them. Otherwise, I am going to kind of close out this section, and I'll have the Q&A as a separate section. But anyway, I just really want to appreciate your time and attention tonight. I'm so glad you were here. And if you want to talk further about this, I am available as a consultant to help you develop ideas and get some strategies in place of like resources and where to go, and like where to get some of these just anywhere you can find things, resources, products, services, etc. I'm your girl. I can help you out with that. Okay. And if you want to do that, you can write me at Kimberly@BeWeirdMakeMoney.com, and we'll talk about what you need and all like what I do. All right. Again, thanks so much, and I look forward to a great Halloween season. All right. And I hope you have a great season.